Life Without Limitations. Life Without Limitations, Jeff Rhodes.
I have a question for you. How many people have had something happen to them at least once in their life? Something negative. Made them feel like a failure. I have a story to share with you. Several years ago, I packed up anything that would fit in the back of a Toyota Tacoma and drove 2,100 miles to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to pursue a master's degree at the University of Alabama. When I was out there, I had everything that I needed to succeed. Unfortunately, however, within a period of about 2.5 years, the relationship that I was in out there had fallen apart. I had no job, had no degree. I was in debt up to my ears, and I had physically, emotionally, and mentally bottomed out. Only to come back to my hometown of Fresno, California, with less than what I left with, and absolutely nothing to show for those 2.5 years that I was back there. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, do you think I felt like a failure? Yeah, you better believe I did. Not only did I feel like a failure, but that had put me in quite a deep slump for quite a while. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to see anybody. I just wanted to sit on my couch and get fat, feeling sorry for myself, wallowing in self-pity. Well, after a while, I'm sitting around and I'm thinking, I've had enough of this. I can't do this anymore. There's got to be something that I can do to get myself up out of this rut, because I do not want to live like this anymore. So I decided I was going to have a self-dialogue with myself. I was going to take this seriously. So I sat down and I said, okay, Jeff, why do you feel like such a failure? Well, I thought and thought and thought about it. And then it dawned on me, well, I'm just really disappointed at how things turned out. Okay, well, disappointment is a much lighter word than failure. Okay, so I feel the weight lifting off my shoulders a little bit. Okay, this is good. I need to take this a little bit farther. Why do you feel disappointed? Well, because things didn't go the way that I wanted them to. So there was an outcome. May not have been the outcome that you wanted, but nevertheless it was an outcome. Could have happened to anybody. That's true, it could have. A little bit more weight lifted up off my shoulders. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, why did this happen to you, Jeff? Why you? We're not going to do this why me thing. The most important question is, how did this happen to you? Now, you've got to dig deep for this. How did this happen? Well, to be honest, I made poor choices. I mismanaged myself. And I neglected a lot of things. Well, is there anything that you can take away from it? Well, it's made me wiser. I don't take things for granted like I used to. And I appreciate things and I appreciate people more. Well, that sounds like you got some feedback. A little bit of negative feedback, some positive feedback, but nevertheless, useful feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, at that moment, the weight was lifted from my shoulders. I was finally free of what had been holding me down for such a long time. I was able to move on. I was able to put it behind me. And that's why I'm here today, is to tell everybody in this room, we don't have to feel like that anymore. We don't have to feel like failures. Because basically we have two paths in which we can take. It's our choice. We can take one path, which is the path of I'm a failure, which more than likely is going to come along with anger, frustration, pessimism, depression, paranoia, only to cut yourself off at the knees and sentence yourself to a life of gross limitations. Then there's the other path, the path of disappointing, undesirable outcomes with useful feedback. When you make that choice to go down that path, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more manageable. If you go down that path, there is no failure. And you have basically opted for a life committed to excellence. Madam Toastmaster.